A motion by Helmut.
Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township. You know, those people that make laws and regulations that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you went and elected, and you'll get that opportunity again on November
7th.
7th.
Yep.
That's right. We had the primary, now we're going to have the election. And this is not a full-bore presidential election. This is for congressional seats that are up for grabs.
And there's a number of issues on
And governors.
Yeah, there's a number of issues also on the ballot.
Oh.
One of the things is a park and recs, you know, for
Oh, the millage, yeah.
millage.
Okay,
that.
yeah.
So
But anyhow,
you want to make sure that you do a good thing, really good thing, and get out there and vote.
since you didn't go to the meeting,
Since you didn't go to the meeting. Right, but you heard it here first. So
this is your opportunity to exert your influence. Every vote counts, especially if someone wins or loses by one vote, it would be yours.
Right. And if you're in precinct 5, watch out, because I'm the chairman and I'll be watching for you. Make sure you show up and do your duty, right?
Attila the Validator.
Tell the validator. Now that would be my wife. She's working the election also.
Oh, really?
Right. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of meetings that went on. But before we do that, we want to talk about things that go on in the meetings, but you folks aren't present. One of the things is humor.
Yuma.
It's amazing how much humor that you get in these meetings, right?
That's right. And it has its first cousin.
Bubbler.
No, Ruma.
Bubble, right. Anyway, these things bubble to the top, and of course he sets all the rumors here. So pay a close attention to this guy, David
He
King.
tends to agree, so what we say is mostly true.
Yeah. What's not to agree? I mean, you really do what you got to do, right?
And we did.
And let's do what we got to do now.
We will.
Okay, let's talk about the meetings that came up. A couple of the meetings were Leonard Village Council meeting, which we're going to cover. It was held on September 10th. And then the other one is Oxford Village Council meeting, which was September 11th.
Okay.
So one after the other. And of course, people serving on the board for the Leonard Village Council is Mike McDonald, who's the president, Shar Sotheby, who serves on this board, Paul Almiranti serves on it as well, and Leonard Hoffman and Alex Kennedy. And also present were the clerk, Cindy Grosskopf, and also treasurer, Judy Verse. So full house.
The team is there.
Team is there. Giddy up. Okay. They did do the Pledge of Allegiance to start with. They did, before this happened though, before the pledge, the president, McDonald, said that the Derby was held a week after the Strawberry Festival because of the inclement weather that they had, and it was raining that day.
And what kind of a derby was that?
It was a soapbox derby
Oh,
without the giddy up horses.
you know what the drivers say?
What?
It's downhill from here.
And it was definitely downhill. And he said that it was a pretty good success too. A lot of people showed up for it. And also, later on, as they did a final report, you know, for the village, the Strawberry Festival, even though it rained, was very successful, as was pointed out, which was rather interesting.
Oh,
I did attend. I did go, and I had some of the great strawberry
Sunday.
sundae ice cream. Good, yummy. And that's the reason why I went. But then I checked out, and I knew a few people there, of course, and visited in various tents.
So were they cut up strawberries, or was it a syrupy kind of a?
No, they were actual strawberries that they had actually, you know, cut up. The real
wonderful.
thing,
Oh,
not the imitation
it's
stuff.
the real thing. Oh, wrong product.
Oh man, did I get them started in the wrong gate here? The horse has already left. Anyway, we're going to now say that they did the pledge. Minutes were approved for August 13th, and the agenda was amended for August 13th to September 10th, because what happened is the president, when he put this together, had the wrong date on the top.
Oops.
Oops, yep. So that didn't take long to take care of. And he did say, oops, and went forward with it. So that was approved after the amendment was made, and the treasurer's report was received and filed and approved as well.
Okay.
Now, next thing was the accounts payable. You know, they have several accounts that they pull funds
Yeah,
out
they
of.
got 4, don't they?
They do have 4. Not all 4 are used simultaneously. Some before others.
That would be confusing.
It would be, a little bit. But the general fund they had to withdraw $6,660.23 to pay the bills in that particular account. The major account, they removed $1,265.24. In the local account, now last time they didn't withdraw anything, but this time $997.20. And of course, the Mill and Park and Recreation account, zero.
Zero.
Zero. Yep, zero.
Has work stopped?
Well, it hasn't really stopped. It just really has never begun.
Oh.
No, it did begin.
You might be getting a call.
I probably will be. The phone is ringing as we speak, I think. So anyway, no, it's been a progress in progress.
The check is in the mail.
Check is in the mail. Okay, so anyway, new business was the next item to come up, and what came up was the Protect Right-of-Way Coalition dues. They belong to this club, actually organization.
What's it called again?
It's called Protect Right-of-Way Coalition dues.
What do they do?
They protect right-of-ways.
I thought you were going to say something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. For community purposes, for public, that kind of thing. Certain right-of-ways that they don't want to infringe on and use for other things like Kool-Aid stands,
Okay.
firecracker stands, and that kind of thing. So,
Wow. I
that
was
would be-
confused before, but now.
Good. I did my job, folks. Okay. That's usually what I try to do to this guy, but sometimes it works. Okay, so it's for public right-of-ways, and the amount of the dues is $50.38. And it was quickly approved because they don't want to see lemonade stands on every corner or fireworks stands on every corner. Okay, so that was handled. By the way, there's a few.
Is that what they really do?
No,
I didn't think so.
but look it up. Take a note.
I'll take a note.
Stack it on top of those yellows you have over there.
Well, that's my color coding system.
How come it gets so tall over there?
Tall and yellow go with the same pile.
Okay. Well,
Pull
one
them
of
off the pile and off the bottom every now and then.
I'm thinking one of these days what we need to do is start at the bottom and see exactly how you replied to each one of those questions.
That's excellent.
That would be a whole show and a half or more.
It's called the FIFO management system.
The FIFO?
FIFO.
First in, first out?
Yep.
Got it? Okay. Been there before, especially working with this guy. We know. Okay. Property owner purchase. In-town business was rather concerned with, what was he concerned about? Okay. Oh,
Maybe he wasn't.
yeah, he was concerned. Concerned that he was looking at a liquor license possibility. And he had just purchased property, business in town.
In
and
Leonard.
In Leonard. And wanted to know what was required, for him to move forward on this.
There's not that many businesses in downtown Leonard.
Right, there aren't. And there's been
There's
fewer.
2 general stores.
Used to be a big town at one time.
Then
Even
what?
had a racetrack there,
Really?
really. And a number of churches, School, of course, has always been there, but it's gotten a little larger since then.
So this person that wants to have a liquor license, is it for one of the existing stores?
Yeah, he's bought a building in town, supposedly, and he's interested in what it would take, to gain the necessary liquor license, for that particular facility. So,
Do they have a ratio of how many liquor licenses there can be for that population that they're
you've
going
got
for?
it right there.
What's that?
That's exactly right. Population
I see.
determination. By the way, a census is coming up too for 2020. So each individual is going to be important. Raise your hand, be noticed, because it means money to your community. With that, we'll talk more when we come back right after this. Welcome back to Miss My Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are here talking about what went on at the Leonard Village Council meeting that occurred last week. And the last thing we talked about was the individual asking questions from the council as to how he can get a liquor license and move forward with his business in town. And of course, when you have
Small population?
Small population, it makes it more difficult. But they do have a liquor license, I believe, available, but that might be part of the consideration. If not, this could be a rumor that you could be spreading.
That's right.
That's right, okay. So stay tuned for more down the line when we bring more information back. The other thing, too, that came up during this discussion is that there is a certain amount of money that was donated towards the fund for the mill. And the amount that they currently have that was donated was $7,822.23. If you folks would like to pitch in and help, either
Was that-
financially or
Was that just recent?
that's been there for a while, but the question came up, how much money is actually there
Okay.
for improvements to that
All right.
building? So that was the answer that came back.
Even though they withdrew none at this last meeting.
That's true. Okay. So anyway, next thing was sanitary sewer study proposal. Remember, we discussed that before
Oh, yeah.
with Leonard. What does it mean when it comes bubbling to the
Means
top?
It means you have a surfeit of septic tanks.
You do. Okay, so they did discuss that, and Doug Stiles from Roll Services gave a presentation, and but there was no action taken on this, but just strictly a presentation at this point to determine service areas, collectible treatment systems that might be applicable to certain areas. And it was pointed out that not all areas within Leonard would require this type of an upgraded septic system or service, what do they call it? Yeah, that one.
Do they have a census, a septic census of how many septic tanks there are and how many would have to be hooked up to this system?
I would say pretty much everybody in that area.
Well, in the densely,
Yeah.
more or less densely populated area of
Well,
Leonard, there's one thing, but then you start stretching out into the more rural areas.
Right. Well, here's the thing. The density is what they're concerned with, and you brought that up, is in the village. I mean, right there in town, in the business district. I mean, when they have a septic tank years ago, it was no problem between each building. And they're only 50-foot wide lots, so now they don't meet the standard requirements, for a septic field. So that
Right.
brings a real dilemma.
And you were talking about probably a proposal to have an engineered system?
Well, that's one of the possibilities, but they're actually looking for a smaller municipal system that could be established.
Oh.
And what they need to do, of course, look at the flow determination.
The what?
Flow determination. What is the volume that they're talking about? And they can calculate that out from an engineering standpoint based on, what the activity is within that property line. 50-foot property, end to end, how much is going to be required in terms of space to handle the flow. So that's all part of it.
Yeah, then you have infrastructure.
You do.
How much you got to rip up to
Where is it
put,
going
put the new stuff in?
Well, they probably locate this particular small, what we call disposal plant, away from the village a little bit, somewhat.
I would think that's a good idea.
I think it would really be good. Or they could put it under your house. Of course, that's a way to run it.
Oh, no.
But they have an idea, a couple places that they could do this.
Okay.
But the engineers with Roll Services are looking at this, and they said, well, how long is it going to take this study, to be completed, so we know exactly what needs to be done and the cost involved, because it's all part of it, And the gentleman that was there to give the presentation, Doug Stiles, said, well, he's looking at roughly 6 to 8 months in order to put everything together, and then they will be back to make the presentation before the council. He
And
did
then comes the sticker shock.
Right. Well, here's the thing. There are partial grants, he pointed out, that would be possible, for the village. And also, there's some loans which are available. So we may look at, long-term payment for this thing. But,
So they have a bond or something.
but you have a problem, you find a solution. And that's what they're looking for, a solution. They did have a petition, as you know, taken up for this out of...
We just don't want the solution to come out of the top of your septic tank.
That's right. Yeah, bubbling over, as we would say. Not a good idea. So anyway, unfinished business was the next subject that they talked about. An Elmwood Street project update was made, and a couple of concerns that they had was grass that they laid down after they did the paving. It grows a very strong element called weeds. The grass, not so much. So that was a complaint. Hey, I have weeds out there, and they're this high, and I'm supposed to have grass
There's
this
something growing, and we really don't have to take care of it. It must be a weed.
high. Right, it's a weed. So anyway, so that's an issue that was brought up and how it's going to be corrected. I don't know if they can do it by this fall, but maybe by next spring they can do that. Actual spent by MDOT would be $30,000 less than the estimate to do the road. That's good news. You know, remember they had to tear it up and redo it.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good bit of change that they were able to save through the village. Thanks to your people that run that particular portion of the government,
Yep.
local level.
Good people.
Good people. Tree removal bids, there are 3 bids that were provided. For Davison Street near Elmwood Street. It was pointed out that there's another dead tree there. Hey, who put that dead tree in my yard? Wasn't me. So anyway, the resident pointed out that he would like to see that dead tree removed, so that would be part of it.
Even though
and-
I was keeping it around for future firewood, but
That's true. Or it could fall over in the guy's house. I have no idea.
Well,
or fall
you
out on the
know.
road.
that could be a problem.
Could be a real problem. Hit the wires. That could be it, and everybody could lose power. All 400 some residents. No more power.
They would take umbrage.
Yeah. And there, President McDonald would have 400 some residents at his door knocking. Why don't we have power? I don't know. It was a dead tree. Oh.
I think we need a lot more chairs for this
We
meeting.
need a lot more trees. Yep. A lot more trees and a lot more chairs. Anyway, here that was covered. An L&L bid was at $1,400 roughly, but they would leave brush in the road. So they actually, after a pretty good discussion, Home Tree Removal was the company they decided to go with.
Okay.
And they were awarded the bid to not exceed $1,150. And that would take care of East Elm.
How many trees?
I think 3 trees.
Okay.
There's 2 originally, but they were going to talk about the 3rd tree that this guy brought up.
That includes stump grinding, I take it.
Yeah, it would take stump grinding, the whole deal. And they'll take the brush away on this one.
Oh, good.
So, okay, DPW update. No updates for DPW, Department of Public Works.
No, you do know all this stuff, don't you?
Well, sitting next to you, it kind of, floats
Rubs
on
off.
over here. Okay, President's report, the FOIA report, Freedom of Information Act. There's only one request for that information, and it was provided. A CDVG report, no action on that one taken. Apparently nobody wants anything repaired locally.
Community block grant?
Block grant.
Yeah.
Yep. And ordinance enforcement was reviewed, and with that, that pretty much took care of the village of Leonard. And we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we just got through talking about the village of Leonard, and now we're going to talk about the Oxford Village Council held on September 11th. Suba Sardet serves on that board as the president. Eric Dolan serves as the vice president, and Maureen
I think
Helmuth.
that's vice chair, isn't it?
It could be vice chair, but she's the president.
They used to have pro tem.
Yep.
I don't know if they do pro tem anymore.
Well, I always call it vice president because she's the president. Could be vice chair. We'll just call it vice chair.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. Okay. And Maureen Helmuth serves that board, has for a number of years. Joel Frost is the newest member, but he was absent at this particular meeting. And then David Bailey was absent, but he showed up a little bit later. Joe Madore, village manager, was president. Terry Onika, who's the new village clerk, was there. And Bob Davis, who's the attorney for the village. They did the pledge. They did the agenda. Eric Dolan wanted to move a couple of items around and add a new item to the agenda called bid processes. And it was approved and moved forward. Call to public brought Chuck Snyder to the podium. Everybody knows Chuck Snyder is a resident and business owner in Oxford Village and surrounding area. And
Chuck
he
knows his stuff.
Yep, and he was concerned about a business he has on Washington Street called Unique Stuff. which has outside presentation of the product. And a lot of the product he pointed out was quite heavy and large and requires to be outdoors. And the
Is
new,
that by the old funeral home?
yes, that's the one, that's the building.
Okay.
And according to the new ordinance, you cannot, these businesses cannot, unless they're in a C1 zoning area, be allowed to have outside displays. The ordinance goes a little bit further in terms if you bring the product in at night, I don't think it's an issue, but that wasn't covered during this particular meeting.
I remember going by there. Most of the stuff they have is alongside the building
Right.
rather than in front.
And he pointed out, you can't bring it in. You know, it's too heavy to bring in. So, and he wouldn't have a location
A lot
for
of
it
it
even
is
if
like
he did.
metal sculptures and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yep.
Very, very unique product. You're supposed to get a chance, check it out. And he pointed out too that people have come from all over the state to visit this particular business because it is so unique in Oxford. So it's
Yeah.
a point of visitation by others. And after he spoke on that behalf, and he said that he felt that something should be done in terms of permit rather than have a stringent, tight ordinance that you can't get around or, you know, you can't violate in any way or.
So off he goes to ZBA?
Well, I'm thinking that probably would be the right move, and they may very well recommend down the line that he do this. And I would suggest probably that would be the route. And if he has justification for it, I think he has possibly a pretty good opportunity, but it's hard to say until they hear all the evidence. I think the ZBA would be very knowledgeable about the ordinance. Bill Dunn was the next person, township supervisor, that stood up, and he's interested in purchasing excess capacity for sewage that the village has and the township can use for development that's coming into the township. And so, and they don't have the capacity from township standpoint.
How
whereas
much
the village could.
overcapacity is Oxford?
Well, I don't know what it would be exactly, but he did discuss that, and that information is on record, you know, on the,
Okay.
with the township. But so he's saying, well, you guys have lots of room for this crap. I mean, for this stuff.
Oh, are they linked into a bigger sewer system?
Well, they just haven't expanded to the point that, you know, they had developed their capabilities for the sewage system for the village.
No, I mean to say they don't treat their own sewage.
No, they
in
don't.
Oxford. It goes
No.
into an intercept. of some
It does.
kind. Okay.
Yep, and it's all contracted.
All right.
So anyway, so that's the subject that's up in the air, and Supervisor Dunn rightfully asked the village if they would consider this and get back with him on it and maybe go a little bit further, could help each other in this case. I'm sure the village could use the money in return, you know, for what they have invested. Good point, Mr. Dunn. Chuck Snyder again spoke up, and this time he talked about truck traffic. He said, did you know that, he said years ago they made a terrible mistake in not using Glassby Street as a transport area for big trucks. Instead, they decided to zone it residential in some areas.
And all the people on Glassby went, oh!
Yeah, now they do, but if it would have, years ago, as he pointed out, been kept to the master plan, and he said you wouldn't have the issue you have today with big trucks rattling down 24
Yeah.
through town.
Well,
His point is well
when
taken.
The Oxford gravel pits were really in business way back when
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Oxford.
Before the turn of the century.
When they say gravel train, they meant gravel train, one after the other.
And it's still pretty heavy yet.
Oh yeah,
And
but
it's hard on roads and that kind of thing.
there's
But
not as many.
yeah, but the point was that originally that's probably what should have been done, but you know, was it? No, okay. So they have to deal with what they have right now. He's saying that what they need now is a left-hand turn lane on M24 from Critterton Building south, east of on East Street, north. And he said there have been a number of accidents there. He said right in front of his businesses, which are across from it. He said that they need to look at this seriously and put in a left-hand turn. He said it would solve a lot of issues if they want to discuss more.
When you say a left-hand turn, you mean a middle lane or a light?
Not a light, because they won't be able to put in a light in there. MDOT has already made that statement.
Okay.
So that's not going to happen, but he's talking about a lane capability. And he has compared this with Lapeer and what they have, and also Rochester,
Okay.
you know, and the way that they control their traffic in this way. He said that since M24 is coming through with MDOT, a lot of changes in the road, now it's time to do it, and I couldn't agree more with him. And I'd like to see that light too on Denison Street, but we fought that one, and we haven't won the battle on that one.
one of the goals is to actually narrow the lanes to control the speed of traffic.
Well, they're not going to really narrow it. They're going to put a kind of median, a small median downtown in that
It
section.
takes up space,
Yeah, but
and there's
also-
less for the other lanes.
Yeah, but actually they're going to, they might make the roads a little less wider than what they are. So what you
Yes.
mean?
Yes, less wide. How's that? Okay, fine.
Well, we reached the
Don't use narrow.
non-impasse. Non-impasse is what it's called. Okay, website redesign concept. A presentation was given by Drew Benson where he explained the new website for the village and DDA. Coming along pretty good. It looks like probably by the end of this fall, you folks should be seeing a new web page out there. A lot more friendly to you users out there as residents. And you want to zero in on that because there's going to be a lot of information for you rather than rumor exact information. Okay, then the consent agenda was approved. And then the bills for $89,809.47. That's $89,809.47. It was approved. Now, they had a public hearing, ordinance updates. Drew Benson brought it forward for the fire and property maintenance code. He said it needed to be updated. He had conversed with Chief Schultz, Fire Chief Schultz. Also talked to Attorney Davis to make sure that it was documented in the right way for this revision. And Chuck Snyder, though, he was concerned about the reference and where these updates can be found, you know, as they're made. And a brief statement was made, you know, by the council, and then they moved on. Any questions here?
No.
Okay. First reading for the same subject for enforcement of the ordinance, fire and property was tabled, set aside for a while. Not all information they felt was according to the time requirement, 60-day requirement, so it was tabled. No, I'm sorry. I got to back off that one. How did I do that? Why didn't you stop me? Okay, they actually said that the ordinance was the way to go. The next thing they did talk about is the special event request that came forward. Special event is going to be called, I think, Witches Night Out instead of Ladies Night Out. They're going to change it.
Witches Night Out?
Witches Night Out. So all you witches that want to have a night out, this is the way to do it.
Not to be confused with the sandwich place.
That's for sure.
Or is it?
It could be. I don't know. Nobody said. Okay,
Is that witch with a T?
this would be a witch with a T.
Oh, that's different then.
Okay, I think it would be. Let's just say it is. And put it on that
Okay.
stack of yellows you have over there, shall we? Talk about stack of yellows. What do you got coming up?
Not much. On 9/25 at 6:30, the Village of Oxford Council will be meeting. And at 6:30 that same day, Oxford School Board will be meeting. And on 9/27 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission, and that's it.
Okay, I just want to say to you folks out there that if you want to see more of the the village manager's report, and it was quite extensive on the end of this particular meeting, I think you'll find it enlightening by going to occtv.org, our website.
Click on programs.
Click on programs and hunt for us, and you'll find that particular meeting for the village council, which was held on September 11th.
Everything's in reverse order by date. And if you don't want to hunt and peck too much, there's a little drop-down menu. You can go to Village of Oxford, and boom, you're there.
Yeah, very informative. You want to pick that up and check it out. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.